Excellent. We are live. Welcome, everybody. Happy Friday. It's been a while. For those watching the recording, we will start in about 3 to 4 minutes. Let's get this pulled up here. For those who are in here, if you can hear me and see me, please let me know. Hey, Anas. All right, charts up. Cool. If you guys can hear me and if you can see me, please let me know in the chat. We'll start shortly in about 3 minutes. Shout out United Health. Whoever got those calls, you should definitely have banked or be banking at the moment. Somebody messaged me this morning. They made 13,000. Yeah, 13,000 bucks. And they put about 300, 400 bucks in it. Crazy stuff. Anybody in here take any United Health calls? $20.27, 500 leaps. Nice. Hey, Marcus. Welcome. Welcome, Timothy. Definitely got a lot of times on those leaps. Let me bring up that chart, actually. I haven't seen it in a bit. And by a bit, I mean like 4 hours. Yeah, that gap up was freaking beautiful. Right off that weekly reversal. Shout out to whoever got in on the watch list from Sunday. You are banking. Shout out Buffett. He pumped it up for us. And we also have that gap from 342 to 377 and change. Cool. All right, we got a good crowd here. As always, for those who are new here or those who are returning, welcome. All I ask for these free classes is for you guys to hit the like button or hit the little thumbs up button, whichever one it looks like on your end. And that's all I ask for. We need at least 50% participation. We got 12 people in here. We need at least 5 to 6 likes before we start. Also, I think if you're looking at this through Discord and if you're not on YouTube, it may not let you hit the thumbs up or the like button. So keep that in mind. Two more, and then we'll get the show on the road. Hey, Jack. Welcome. You're starting off with 2,500. Would you recommend starting out with risking one contract and having stop loss be full loss, or a fixed percentage with a larger amount? Great question, Massimo. I will get to that in 1 minute. Let me just give the introductions and then we'll start. Cool. So, welcome everybody. My name is Advent or Desi, depending where you know me from. For those who are new here, this is the community trade recap and assisting trader session. We have this every Friday, usually at 7 p.m. I just have to get the new schedule kind of situated since I started taking judo classes, which I usually go on Fridays and Saturdays and throughout the week. So I'll let you guys know moving forward what the set schedule maybe look like. Cool. So again, for those who are new here, pretty much what we do is we'll go over my trades, we'll go over your trades, and I'll pretty much give you guys feedback on what you guys did well, what you can improve on, give you little tips, techniques, things like that to improve. Massimo, I don't think you've ever been here before, so I'll let that one slide. But questions like the one that you asked me, those aren't necessarily ones that I would be answering in this specific session. This weekend, we are going to have the Let's Learn with Advent session on Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. In that class, you can ask me whatever you want. This specific class is really based on just going over trades, not necessarily going over any questions specifically like the one that you gave. But since you're new here, I'll answer it. His question, for those who may not see the chat, is he's starting off with 2,500 bucks, and he's asking if he should start with just risking one contract and essentially letting the stop loss be 100% loss, or if he should be using a larger amount and a fixed percentage. So when you say you're starting out, how long, if at all, have you been trading? Like, do you know anything about trading? Do you have a working strategy, or what exactly? And for those who are in here, as he responds back to me, whatever trades you guys want me to look at, please put in the chat, and then we'll go over it. I'll review options trades, futures trades, stocks, forex, crypto. Really doesn't matter. I've traded it all. So just put it in the chat. Give me as many details as you can. So, when you got into the trade, when you got out, if you were long, short, if you won, if you didn't win, what the idea was behind the trade, things like that. Let's see. Yes, I have been trading for a year, but crypto and futures, new to options. So in futures and crypto, I'm used to working in risk reward, but can't figure out what's best for options. Definitely a good question. So the biggest difference, of course, with options is the option Greeks and really attaching that to the stock price of whatever it is that you're looking at. The divine caller advent. Spencer, if you're from the divine group, yes, this is that advent. So Massimo, let me bring up my chart and I'll just type on it. So with the options versus future stuff, the biggest thing, honestly, the setups are going to be the exact same. You just need to learn futures more. You just need to learn options more and how the Greeks correlate with the trades and, the stock that you're trading and things like that in conjunction with what you're looking for. Let's say, for the sake of the conversation, I'm just going to make up a fake trade for this example. Let's see. And I'm going to make fake Greeks for this example. So let's say we have a United Health. Well, we're at what, 304? Let's say we choose a 300 put. Whoops. 300 put. Strike price doesn't, I mean, expiration doesn't really matter right now. Let's say the delta is, let's say $25, or let's make it 20 to keep math simple. And we'll just keep it there for now. I won't really bring in data or anything like that for now. So let's just say, for the sake of the conversation, the next 1 hour bar that opens up, we're going to take that to the downside as soon as this lower candle gets broken from the prior one. So when the next candle opens, when it breaks that low, we're immediately going to get into puts. So let's just say that you get into the trade and your stop loss is right above this candle that set you up for the setup, right? Let's just make math simple. Let's say the stop loss is $3. And then let's say your target is pretty much breaking the day's low. And let's just move that to $9 to make math simple. And let's just say that the premium we paid for this contract is, let's say, 300. So premium paid $3 or $300. So for those who know about options, essentially the contract is going to increase or decrease more or less by the amount of the delta. Of course, there's the data and other things that are going to come into play, but let's just keep it simple for now. So if my stop loss is $3, and as we know, each dollar movement on the stock is going to equate to more or less one delta, which is going to be $20 or 20 cents in this case. So delta is 20 cents in this example. So in this case, my stop loss is going to be $60 because it's $3 away, right? So with the stop loss being $3, we're just going to multiply that by the delta, right? So 3 times 20 will be $60. So I can assume approximately, if I get stopped out, my contract's going to be worth $2.40 or $240. So I'm going to lose roughly, this will equate to a negative 20% loss, give or take, right? Now, let's say my first target is this Wix low right over here, which is roughly $3, give or take. We'll just round up again to keep math simple. So target 1 would be 3.60. And then target 2, let's just say that's the completed level all the way down here. So that'll be 9 times 20. We'll do about, what, 180. So if my math doesn't suck right now, will be about 4.80. What's that percent? 30, about 60% gain. 60% gain, give or take. So in this example, I'm using price action and the Greeks of the options to determine what my stop loss and target is. Remember, this is approximate because there's also going to be expiration dates, theta, and other things that are going to affect the price. This is assuming everything is just perfect. So at my first target, I'm going to assume that I'm going to make at least $60 profit per contract. And then when it hits my second target, I'm going to make approximately $180, give or take. Now, because my strike price is 300, I'm going to be in the money right after target 1. So I'm probably going to be making even more than $180 on the contract because the delta increases the more in the money you are. So 20% gain there. Does that kind of make sense when it comes to like kind of gauging your stop losses and stuff? How did you know to make the stop loss $3? Well, I'm just using this candle here as my stop loss, this red one. So if the next candle opens up here and then it triggers down, I'm just using this as my stop loss. That probably might not be my actual stop loss. This is just for the sake of the conversation and the example I'm giving you to make it simple. So hopefully that made sense, because we're still going to be using price action to determine our stop loss. I personally don't ever like using a fixed percent loss because it's always going to vary, right? Like in this example for this 1 hour candle on United Health, the candle just happens to be approximately $3, right? But what if our stop loss was this candle right over here, the one right before that? Our stop loss is going to be almost $4. So you never really want to use a fixed percentage, in my opinion. At least I wouldn't use a fixed percentage because each trade is always going to be different. I had setups where the stop loss is only 10%. I've had some where the stop loss might be 50%, some 30%, 20%. And it really depends on what the stock wants to do and what it's presenting us. So we'll keep that there. Cool. All right. For those who are coming in, welcome. Whatever trades you want me to review, please put in the chat. If you haven't already, please hit the thumbs up or the like button. That is all I ask for these free classes for you guys. Again, as a reminder, for those who are new, besides this one-time exception, since Massimo is new here, he didn't really know. But to kind of stay within the context of what this class is, we are only reviewing trades, and I'm giving you feedback on those trades. And we'll be going over my trades as well. And you can ask me questions about the trades and things like that. But when it comes to questions regarding like strategy or going into detail with certain things, this is not what this class is for. So just so we can stay on the same page, because I can spend an hour talking about one topic. I want to get through everybody's trades and things like that. So, Anas, if you do want me to answer that question, definitely join us on Sunday at 8 p.m., which is when we're going to have the Let's Learn with Advent series, which you can ask me whatever you want. But this specific session is for trades and going over trades. So while you guys are doing that and putting your trades in the chat, I'll go over some of my trades this week. Oh, Danish, welcome. Yeah, so on Sunday when you come through there, then you can ask me whatever you want, and I'll be more than happy to answer every single question you have. So whatever trades you guys want me to review, definitely put it in the chat. But this week was pretty chill. Let me bring up my journal, actually. Why is this not loading up? There we go. Yeah, pretty chill week. 3 trading days. I took a trade yesterday as well on... Did I take a trade yesterday? I don't think I did. I think I just relaxed yesterday. Yeah, pretty much 3 trading days this week. All green. This month has been fantastic so far. Just 1 red day. And I've traded 9 days so far. So 1 red day. Pretty good price action this month, finally. Last month didn't really do much. It's been my lowest traded month of the year. But yeah, let's go over some of these trades this week. Let's bring this back up. Let's move this over. So again, pretty chill week on... What day was this? On the 13th, right over here on Tesla. Let me hide this fib so we can see things a little more clearly. So the setup on Wednesday for me was this 3-1 setup on the 4-hour time frame. And I was basically looking to take it either to the upside if it broke this inside bar, or to the downside if it broke the bottom. I would be leaning a little more towards the upside because not really a fan when we have a lot of buying up like wicks near trigger areas personally. So pretty quick day. Pretty much stayed in for about 15 minutes and made my quick 150% on that trade. The first 4-hour candle just rocketed straight up. Let me mark this out real quick. So this was the entry. If I can get this line. 4-hour 312 up entry. And let's go on the 5 minutes, see a little more cleaner action because it's showing us the candle that finished up. So pretty good day. Pretty much as soon as it broke that 4-hour high, it pretty much just rocketed us to all the targets. I think it hit about 4 or 5 targets that I had marked out. Super quick and easy day. I was pretty much done in 15 minutes and I packed it up and went about my business. Nothing really set up for me futures wise that day. I just took Tesla. And then today I took Tesla as well. However, it didn't pan out as well as it did on the 13th. Excuse me. Today was definitely a bunch of chop. Excuse me. Definitely a bunch of chop on Tesla. I only made up with about 45% gain. It took forever for this trade to pan out. Let's bring it up. So pretty much we opened up here. It gapped up. And then once it came back down, I took this 3 down to the downside. So let me mark this out for you guys. My entry was here. My stop loss, I usually would have it above the inside bar, but to me, if it went back that high, it's probably not going to work anyway. So I just moved it right above this little bullish top bar right here, the closing price. I had my target down here at the bottom of this inside bar as one of the targets anyway. I had a target at the bottom of this 2's wick, and then this body right here, and then the low of that inside bar. Let's go on the 5 minute. Actually, let me mark off these levels so we can see it clearly. So this was target 1. Whoops, target 1. So I got in as soon as this 5 minute candle broke the previous inside bars low on the 4 hour. So I got in at 9:45 right over here on this candle. And then basically nothing happened for the next 2 hours. It literally just chopped for 2 hours straight. I think I was down about, I got in about 52, 53 on the premium. I got a 325 put for today's expiration. So I got in at about 52, 53, literally just chopped for the next 2 hours. I think the lowest it got was about 0.15, 0.20 around there. So I was a little over 50% loss. And once it hit the first target, because of the chop earlier, it was pretty much the theta took away most of the gain on the contract. So I was essentially at break even when it hit the first target. And then I just held to see how much more juice we can squeeze out of the trade. And this next candle over here at 12 o'clock pretty much flushed. Once hit my second target, then I took some off for about 30-35% gain. Once it hit this peak, I didn't sell it quick enough. I believe the contracts hit a peak of 117, if I recall correctly. I ended up taking the last few contracts off for about $90 or per contract. So almost 100% gain on the full position towards the end. But my first target gave me about 40-45% on that when I trimmed it around 71, 74 around there. Other than that, pretty chill day, just mentally boring going through all that chop. You guys have any questions on those trades? You make your setup on the 4-hour enter. Nah, so Keb, I don't use the 5-minute to enter in. I just enter in on the 4-hour. I'm just on the 5-minute to show you guys like the action that happened during that time. But the whole day I was just looking at the 4-hour when I was with you. Well, I don't think you were there, but when we were on the Zoom today, when we were live trading, I just stayed on the 4-hour. So I was like this. I had Tesla up here and then YM over here on the right side. I just went on the 5-minute to kind of give you guys some insight on what was happening, because the 4-hour, we just see the aftermath there. But yeah, pretty chill day. Nothing too crazy. You see a W? Oh yeah, on YM's 1 hour. We gotta hope on Sunday we don't get a gap up so we can enter in. I would definitely get into this one on Sunday. So we gotta keep an eye on that. Hopefully it doesn't gap up on us. Did you see any losses for this trade, and were you holding until you took your profit? So what I usually do, Danish, on Fridays for 0 DTE, as Massimo mentioned, like if some people would prefer to use a fixed stop loss or use the whole position as a stop loss. For this specific trade, usually on Fridays, I use my whole position as a stop loss in the sense of, let's say if I put $2,000 and I don't want to risk more than $600, that's pretty much a 30% stop loss, which I would have been stopped out of this trade because it went negative about 65%. So what I did instead is, if I wanted to risk $600, I just put in $600 on the trade, right? So that way, if it goes to negative 100%, I'm just risking what I was going to risk anyway with a higher position size. So that's what I usually do for 0 DTEs on Friday, specifically for Tesla, because I don't really trade 0 DTEs otherwise. Besides this, I'm usually swing trading other stocks or trading weekly contracts. But yeah, that way I'm still taking, it's not really a lottery position because it's going to be the same thing, right? I will still stop out of the trade if it hits my stop loss, whether that be negative 70% or negative 80%. I'm just willing to let the trade go negative 100% because it's still within my dollar loss limit that I'm looking for. But this wasn't a lottery trade. This is one of my setups that I would take regardless. Because to me, a lotto would just be, I'm going to get into SPX with no setup and I'm just going to see what happens. To me, that would be a lottery trade or a lotto trade, or like earnings. To me, earnings would be like a lotto trade. This was like an actual setup. Cool. Let me know if you guys have any more questions on the trades that I took. Let me see what Spencer mentioned. Hey, Spence, definitely glad you're here. Let's see. You loaded Kava Jan 2026, Leaps late July 4. The average price is $7.98. You closed 2 for a $10 profit, and the rest is $130 loss the day before earnings. Let's bring up Kava real quick. I'd imagine that these Kava, this was calls. And you said you got in around the beginning of July, which would have been around over here, around $80, give or take. Yeah, it looks like if you got in around this price, around the 80s, really not much happened. It did head up about $11 from around that area. Let's see, this was the first. You said you got in around July 4th. So pretty much this day here. So you got in somewhere over here. You got out pretty much before earnings, which would have been around down here. So it looks like it went about $7 and change at the peak after you got in. My question for you, Spencer, would be, what target were you aiming for? Like what was the idea behind the trade? And while I'm waiting for Spencer to respond back, anybody else have questions on my trades, or if you want me to look at any of your trades, you're more than welcome to put it in the chat. I'll go over futures, options, regular stock, crypto. It really doesn't matter. Whatever you guys want. Just put it in the chat and give me as many details as you can. Hey, Jack, that is a great question for Sunday, not in today's session. But price action is the same chart, just different instruments. But for more detail, we'll go over it on Sunday. That question is not for today. We're just going over trades right now. Whatever trades you guys want me to look at, put it in the chat. Can you please look into Google 205 call for me? You lost $255. Let's see. Danish, when did you get into the trade? So what was your entry? What time frame were you looking at? What time did you get into it? I'm on the East Coast. So 0 DTE. Let me know what time frame and stuff you got in and around what time on the day you got in. Let me just write down some of your notes so I don't have to look back. So he got a 205 call, 0 DTE, expiring today, 1.29 average, stopped at 0.78, 5 contracts. What the heck is that wick? Interesting. Around 9 a.m. Are you in Central? Or where are you exactly? Because if you got in at 9 a.m., that could be 12 noon for me. So what time zone are you in? So I can be on the same page. California. So you got in at 12 around lunchtime. So you pretty much got in calls around here on this, looks like this 3-up candle, give or take. Looks like price went in your favor. And it got in the money. So what happened with the trade? Like, it looks like it went in the money. And if you got in at 12, more or less, it looks like price shot up pretty much from there. You got the near bottom. So what happened with the trade? Why did it go red on you? Yeah, this candle, I have no idea what happened here, but if anybody was in calls, that thing got obliterated. That was a $4 move in like 5 minutes. 6:36 a.m. Got you. All right, cool. That makes more sense. So you got in around 9:36. So that would be 9:30. So you got in pretty much over here in the second candle. Did you get in as soon as the previous 5-minute broke to the upside? And what happened up here? Like, did the contracts go in profit Once it got up here around like 206, almost 207, what were you aiming for? You sold at 641. So you sold 5 minutes. Oh, you took a loss on these once it pulled back. Got you. All right. That makes sense. So he pretty much got out about 5 minutes later on this like hammer candle right over here. So he got stopped out over here on that pullback. Interesting. So for this specific trade, where would your stop loss where would you have placed your stop loss? Or did you kind of just get out because you were focused on the money? I'm trying to get an idea of like what the thought process is for this trade. I'm going to bring up the contract as well. I want to see what it moved like. Whoops, not futures. So we're looking at Google 205 for today. And you got in at 129. Now it looks like even if you did hold until like up here, theta and the pullback would have killed the contract. Because even at that peak, I'm looking at the options contract. Hold on, let me align these times correctly. So that's 1025. Oh, whoops, never mind. Actually, I was looking at the wrong thing. That was like way after. Actually, no, if you held on, you would have made almost $100 a contract. It hit a peak of 210 after the pullback. It just reversed back up. You would have been down at least like 50% though. So that might have been a little too high for you to stomach. One thing that I like to do, as we were mentioning earlier, is before you even get into the trade, always be mindful of what you're willing to risk and what you're okay with risking, right? So in this specific trade, I always like to use price action as opposed to just like a fixed percentage or a dollar amount. Like I'm not going to get into this trade and be like, hey, I'm going to stop out when it hits negative $100, right? Because that doesn't really make sense. Negative $100 could be all the way up here. Negative $100 could be all the way down here, right? So if I were inclined to take this trade, which I would not, let's just say for the sake of the conversation, I'm getting in on this continuation on the second bar here. And I have my stop loss as 50% of the first 5-minute candle bar. So my stop loss would probably look something like this. So pretty much $1 away from entry. The risk is about $1. So I'll pretty much be taking profit every dollar that it goes into my favor. So my first target would be around here. However, as we can see, if I were to get into this trade, it would have stopped me out as well. So I'm not sure how quick you are at kind of analyzing the contracts and seeing how much you may lose. But before I even get into a trade, granted, you're using like the lower time frames, like the 5-minute. I'm usually using the 4-hour time frames where I already have the calculations ready to go. But I'm not sure how fast you can count in your head. That's what I kind of just do on the spot. So if my stop loss is $1, let me see if I could bring up the contract real quick. Products, options. All right, let's look for Google. Let's see if they have today's expiration still. No, it expired. That's unfortunate. Well, let's just pretend this 205 contract is for today. And let's use these Greeks. So the delta here is $47. And let's assume that we enter in on this trade at 3.50 to make math simple. So In this case, if the stop loss is about $1 away, I'm going to assume that I'm going to lose about $47 per contract. So if you had 5, you would pretty much be looking at about $200 to $250 loss on that trade. Now, if you don't want to, if you're not okay with losing $250 on the trade, then just reduce your position size to, let's say, if you're okay with losing $150, you can just get 3 contracts. That way, it's still within your risk tolerance of the trade. So you can reduce your position size and allow the percentage loss of the trade to be a little higher to give the trade a little more breathing room. I've never been a fan of a fixed stop loss because of this very reason, right? Like if you use 20% and that thing stops you out as soon as the next candle opens up, you're not giving the trade enough room to breathe to go to your targets, right? So I always like to bring it as a price action or, go into it with price action, because price action got you in. Price action should also be taking you out, right? That's the idea that I have in my head when I'm getting into a trade. It's never like, oh, this trade is going to make me $1,000. Let me put this much in. And if it hits $200 loss, then I'm going to get out. It's like, that doesn't really make sense because you're not trading money. You're trading the charts. So we just have to position size correctly in regards to what the chart is telling us and whatever that may be in the specific setup. What do I recommend? Like what needs? So your question is like how to get better at price action? Is that the question? I'm not really understanding how you presented it. Is the question like how to get better at price action? What price action even is? Ah, gotcha. You don't even know what price action is. That makes sense. Price action, in extremely simple terms, is whatever the price is doing. So in your case, let's take it to basic market structure. So based on this line graph, can you guys tell me, are we in a bullish market? Is the market trending higher? Is the market trending lower? Is it bearish, or is it a choppier sideways market? Just based on this drawing right over here. You can put the answers in the chat. Cool. So we can see that this is a bullish trend, right? Again, basic price action. Let's look at the chart. We had a little nice gap up. We were kind of just stuck in this range. Let me actually draw a box over here. We were stuck in this range. So we have let me actually type this out. So we have a low here. Once market opens up, boom, we head higher and we clear all these highs over here. So we've just made a higher high, which is bullish structure. What happened with you is that you got shaken out on the pullback, or as we like to say, a TTO. So market makers came up, stopped all the people going long, took all their orders, and then only to reverse it back up. There was really no reason to get out of the trade because structure and price action never really changed. Sure, it reversed, but we ended up just forming a higher low right over here. And then for those who know the TTO setup, you can take this bullish reversal back into time continuity because the daily's bullish. It broke previous day high, and the 4 hours bullish. And I'm pretty sure the 1 hour is bullish as well. We're just using the 5 minutes to get back into the bullish trend, which would have happened on this 2 down, 2 up bullish reversal. And as we can see, we even formed another higher low on the little pullback right over here. I wouldn't say nervous because I probably would have been out of this trade by now. But if you're following price action or basic market structure, the market structure shifted over here when this low over here broke below this low. So now we have a lower low, which is changing to bearish structure. In your case, you just got scared out because you were just focusing on the money and the profits and not what the chart is actually telling you. I'm not sure. Have you gone through all of my strat material yet? Was the yes, not yet? Definitely go over all the strat material. Let me actually bring this up real quick. Also, before you guys ask me later on, yes, the strat does work for futures. When I recorded the intro to the strat video, I was using fibs during that time for futures. But during that video, I said that it wasn't as efficient. But I mainly use a strat now for futures. Let me bring this up to show you real quick. So for those who are not familiar, let's change the screen real quick. So if you go to my YouTube channel, let me wait until this comes up so you guys can see it. Is it still showing my chart? It's not what I want. There we go. All right, there's 1,000 of me. All right, so when you go to my YouTube channel, you're going to go to playlists. And then you're going to go to the strat. My head is probably covering this. Let me move this over. Can I move this over? Nah. Maybe I can scroll down a bit. There we go. So go to the strat playlist right over here. View full playlist. You only really need to look at the, I'll say the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about the first 5 videos. You can look at the others if you want, but the first 5 videos will give you a good idea of the strat. And then you can go from there. If you do need help with the risk management and stuff like that, if you go to the psychology of trading and building your trading system, I have some videos here for you guys, like risk management, journaling, all that good stuff. So definitely check that out. All right, let's get back to it. So to me, the strat is just price action simplified. It really helped me a lot when it comes to trading. Cool. So that's the feedback that I would give you. So biggest takeaways that I would say for your setups or for this setup, don't focus on the money, focus on the setup and what it's giving you. Reduce your size if need be. So you're not focused on like, let me get out 20% loss, things like that. So yeah, the first 15 minutes can be volatile as well, depending what you're trading. Let's go back to Tesla. Roberto, if you're still here, looks like he got in. Oh, interesting W. Not one that I would take, but looks like it worked out nice. Let's see. Can we look at a Tesla 350 call 11:50 Eastern time? All right. So, Roberto, if you're still here, hopefully you still are. What happened with this trade? Did you get in it? Were you just watching it? You know, what happened? What was the setup for the trade? 44 contracts? Ooh, you're braver than me. I guess depending on the strike price, it might have been cheap ones, but you took an alert? Interesting. I would word this in a specific way to not step on any toes. I'm not against signals. They're definitely perfectly fine, in my opinion. I started off with signals. But we still have to always have our own idea with the trade, right? Like I'm not going to put like half my account in a signal. That would never happen. But I would look at a signal, see what they're looking at, and then kind of see the idea and then formulate my own plan around that and then go from there. So you noticed that the SMI, whatever that is, I guess RSI was oversold. I'm not sure what SMI is. Your play here was to write it back to the 9 EMA. I don't use that 9 EMA. I don't use EMAs at all, but let's bring it up so I can see what you were looking at. Oh, whoops. It's just going to be the EMA, and then we'll bring up, I guess any of these. I'll just adjust this and remove these. Can I change it? No, this one won't work. Got to find another one. EMA. Is there a specific indicator that you use so I could bring up the same one you were looking at? Well, I guess moving average exponential. There we go. All right, we got the 9 EMA now. So let's see if this would give us all right, cool. So I'm going to assume you got in here around 331, and then the EMA, let me get rid of this. So you got in somewhere around here. I'm not sure where your stop loss was, maybe low of day, I guess. And then you're looking to take it back to the 9 EMA, which was pretty much right there. I'm personally not a fan of this trade because the higher time frames are letting us know what's happening. For example, I'm only going to take a reversal back to the upside if I have like proper confluence. So if I have like a strong support level or anything like that. I don't really see anything here. Sure, we have some buying up here, but I don't really have anything else here to give me confidence in this trade. And I was short most of the morning anyway. So, but besides that, we're pretty much getting in after the market just made a new low on the day. So we're pretty much fighting against the trend. That's one thing that's there. 4 hour basically was bearish, right? We did an outside bar to the downside. The daily, that broke what? 340. Let's go back over here. Yeah, so it looks like the next candle, when it flushed down, that broke the previous daily low as well. To me, I don't really see any long opportunity here. And not only that, just looking at price action. So price kept on bouncing off all day in this zone over here, right? In this area. So we're bouncing there all day. So we can assume that this is support in this area, right? Price comes back up. Buyers finally step in. Sellers said, nope, we're taking it back down. Boom. Big selling pressure. Nice big fat candles closing under this. We can see this nice red candle. It's closing under all of these candles over here, meaning buyers weren't even strong enough to bring price up in this area. For those who know about ICT, we pretty much created a displacement candle or a fair value gap here after this candle. But this candle in and of itself, displacement candle. And when I see things like this is telling me that all the buyers that were hanging out here got killed by this big red candle. And they essentially don't have any strength to bring it back up, because if they did, this candle wouldn't even have formed. There would be a big wick here, which didn't happen. On top of that, now that this used to be support, this is now resistance. We can see here when price tried to break that area, he just kept on getting rejected. And then it just got flushed again, made a bearish TTO or dead cat bounce to the downside. Pretty much an H pattern right there. a nice big one. So to me, there was really no long confidence in this trade personally. I'm not sure what the person who alerted it was looking at, but I didn't see anything that was convincing for any longs personally. Also, I don't really care much about oversold indicators because that doesn't mean anything. To be fair, it doesn't mean anything to me. I used to use RSI and all those other things, but to me, price action is king. Price action is telling you what's going on. If the daily's red, the 4 hours red, the 1 hour's red, we're pretty much bearish. I don't need to look at an indicator to tell me that we're bearish. Price is telling me that we're bearish. I don't need to see oversold or overbought conditions because the market's going to do whatever it wants, right? Things were oversold down here, but it ended up just getting obliterated even more. So I wouldn't have waited for any bounce because I'm going to be going against a trend. I would have needed to see more confluence, right? For the strat, we use what's called broadening formations. So essentially, they're like support and resistance, but basically just like a little diagonal, right? So let's say we have a broadening formation here. Now let's say price is doing this, right? If price is down here, I'm not really going to be looking to take a short down here because price is bouncing off this level that we've been seeing. I will definitely take a reversal off of it to the upside, but I'm not going to go short until I get a clean break that price does want to continue lower. Now, let's continue through the day. The only setup that I would have taken long today on Tesla would have been this weird looking W on the 5-minute that printed during lunchtime. The W setup is basically just a double bottom. However, we're getting in earlier. People who trade double bottoms, traditionally, they get in once the middle is broken. So they're getting in around here. I'm getting in all the way down here a little earlier. So my risk reward is better. This is not the cleanest version that I would ever take over here. As we can see on Tesla, we have that move down, comes back up a little bit, comes back down, and then reverses back up to make the W. And we're looking for a higher low because what I'm really looking for is for market structure to change back bullish, at least on the higher low front. I still don't know if a higher high is going to be formed until price continues higher, which in this case it did. So if I was looking at this setup, I would get in on the first bullish reversal back to the upside, which would have been right here. My stop loss would have been under that candle. My first target would have been this center right over here, or basically where this target is listed at. My second target would have been over here at this Wix high. That would have completed the W for me. Pretty much 2 to 1 risk reward for this specific setup. And then I would have just trailed each 5-minute candle close. So I would have taken some contracts off here in the center, some more contracts off here. Now I would have left the runner and just gotten out once price reversed on me, which happened on this 3 candle right here once it broke this low. So I would have gotten out with my runners about $1.60 in profit. It did keep on going higher, which was lovely, but I wouldn't have been around for it. You sold at 1235. Yeah, you pretty much sold right here on this nice big candle. So we can see kind of the opposite, right? Should you have held longer? In hindsight 2020, yeah, you should have held longer from what we see here. But theta probably would have killed your contracts because, as we can see here, price came back to your entry area, but it probably, because of theta, you probably still would have been red anyway. Should you have in 2020 vision, looking at the chart now? Definitely. If the chart kept on getting obliterated, absolutely not. You shouldn't have held longer. But again, I base my trades based off of specific setups and trade models that I use. I don't really use indicators. I just use price action because price action is telling me what it wants to do. Oh, nice. You sold for a gain. Good stuff. Did you average down when it got down here? Oh no, you entered near the bottom over here. Got you. Yeah, so in this case, gotcha. So this big candle, then you got in. Gotcha. All right, cool. That makes sense. Oh, so just to be clear, you didn't get in up here. I thought you said you got in around 1150. So you actually did not get in here. You actually got in down here. Or was it alerted up here and then you just got in down here? Gotcha. All right. Now I'm on the same page as you. Cool. That makes sense why you mentioned it was oversold. I still wouldn't take it off just that. But um, if you ever do want to maximize your trades and hold your trades longer, what I like to do after it hits targets, I'll either go on one time frame higher than mine, or I'll just stay on the time frame that I'm on, and then I'll just trail each closed candle. Because price never told me to get out until price reversed on me, which would have been after this red doji right here. If you went on the 15-minute, it never told you to get out until this red candle right over here that broke this low. So we can always use candle closes to stay in longer and maximize trades. I'm trying to get one of my new students to hold trades longer because with the strat, 100, 200% trades will be common. And he's only used to 20, 30% trades. I'm like, those are rookie numbers, sir. We got to get those numbers up. So, and by holding your trades longer, that's how you're going to get the higher percentages. Cool. But yeah, I wouldn't really say it was a mistake that you did. We could just improve upon it. Like with the strat, we're pretty much using the previous candle highs and bodies as targets. So if you got in, let's say like where I did, if you want to use the previous candle highs, you can use this wick, this body, or this wick. And then the next target would be this body or this wick, which looks like it hit the body up here, then it reversed back down. So I wouldn't look at it as a mistake, just things to improve upon. And for those who do use indicators and it works out for you, please keep on doing it. Whatever makes money is all I really care about. Other than that, if you followed whatever plan you had, you're fine. To me, that was a good trade. If you got in and then you got out when it hit the 90 EMA, that's a solid trade for me. So good job on that one. Oh no, it looks like my battery got depleted. Well, you guys are going to see a black screen for the rest of the session. We'll keep it going for a few more minutes. We're over by a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, Danish. I would definitely encourage you to study the strat more because 6-8% gain, you're missing a lot of money and leaving a lot of money on the table. Before I discovered the strat, my first mentor, even though we kind of trade stocks and not options, like 20, 30% was like the holy grail. When I met my strat mentors, they were like 20, 30%. What are you talking about? Like 100% is like really common, like on a daily basis, depending on how price action wants to set up. So the strat to me was a game changer. If you want higher percentages, learn the strat, learn how to hold your trades longer. I had this one student, she's a freaking beast. She's definitely a lot more patient than I am. She'll use like the 30-minute or the 1 hour to hold her trades longer for runners, and she'll clear like 3, 4, 500% trades like every week, no problem. So I don't have the patience for that because I pretty much get off at 12 noon, but she usually stays on for a little longer than I do. So yeah, she'll usually do 0 DTEs or 1 DTE from what I remember. I think she mainly does 1 DTE now, but she'll usually do 0 DTEs every week as well. Cool. All right, let's see what we got. Ashley, I'm not sure if you're still in here, but you mentioned that something happened to you on LLY. If you want me to go over that trade, let me know if you're still around. You took Microsoft 522 put around 1120. Let's check out Microsoft. I haven't looked at that in a while. Around 1120. So pretty much around here, and then it went double inside bar up and then a reverse back down. I do not do the MQSP. That's more of a top hat thing. I just take my setups based on my watch list and that's it. At least for options anyway. For futures, I'm usually looking at other setups. Yep. Roberto, was that a winning trade or a losing trade that you took? Also, Ashley, one thing that I would probably have you do and everybody else that gets affected by looking at the money, all of your platforms, at least the decent ones, will allow you to hide your P&L. So if you use Webull, Thinkorswim, I'm pretty sure like the other bigger ones like what Morgan Stan or E-Trade, there we go, E-Trade. Those will let you hide your P&L because again, if you're getting affected by looking at the money, then that's a problem that has a negative effect on your trading. So I would definitely go ahead and hide your P&L and just focus on price action. Dang. Let's look at what happened to EOD. Oh yeah, this thing got obliterated at the end of the day. In my opinion, I like if you made money on that trade and it hit your target and stuff. Hold on, your question is should I have sold there and kept this on the watch for later? Not necessarily. Like I can't really answer if you should have sold there or not because I don't know what your targets were. If it hit your targets and you took profit when you said you would, then to me that's a good trade, right? Because this is just hindsight 2020. Because if you got in around here and you made your 16%, we can see that price reverses and pretty much makes a new high of day. I highly doubt you're going to hold the position that long. It's probably negative 90% at that rate. And then it only went to 280 bucks on the contract because it got flushed out at the end of the day. But we don't know that's going to happen, right? So if you follow your plan, to me, that's a solid trade. I wouldn't really get caught up, or I would do what you can to not get caught up on hindsight data. Because if price didn't flush the way it did, you would be happy that you took your 16% gain. Cool. All right, let's wrap up. As we're heading out, what was everybody's biggest takeaway from today? And while you guys are answering that in the chat, so let me know what your biggest takeaway or what you learned today. You're welcome, Ashley. Thanks for coming out. Join us on Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. We're going to have the Let's Learn with Advent series. Let me bring this up real quick. So this Sunday, let me just make this now before I forget. Let's learn with Advent. What is the date for this Sunday? I'll answer your question after I'm done with this real quick. So that's the 17th. Spell my name wrong. August 17, 2025. This will be in Let's Learn with Advent series, not for kids. No monetization, so there's no ads while we're watching this. So remember, everybody, on this Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, is going to be the next class where we can go over anything at all. So there will be no limitations to the questions. All right, and that's set up there. So if you go to the YouTube channel and you go to live, did it show up? It might not show up immediately. After we're done with this live, it's probably going to show the next one for Sunday where you can hit like notify me to get notified when we do it. Yeah, I'm going to share the link and I'll put it like in the event channel so you guys can just alert yourselves as well. Cool. Let's get back to the. Yeah, Danish, definitely learned the strat. It was a game changer for me. I'm glad that a lot of people in Top Hats group are using it when I introduced you guys to it. Yep, definitely let price action take you out, Ash, because it's like the money's, just size down if need be. Yeah, definitely being clear on the setup and stuff, Danish. That way you know when to get out and when to get in and stuff like that. Can I go over the choppiness on SPY? Oh, this thing is a freaking mess. Disgusting. Today was OPEX. For those who don't know what OPEX is, that is options expiration. That is the third Friday of every month where a lot of options or the monthly contracts are expiring. So I always tend to expect choppy nature on the third Fridays of every month when the options expire. So just be mindful of that. I usually lower my size on these days, but that's pretty much all the choppiness with OPEX. Cool. Thank you guys for coming out. Always love doing this for you guys. I will see you guys on Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Come with your questions. If you have any questions that you didn't ask me here, definitely write them down so we can go over it on Sunday. I will see you guys live on YouTube, 8 p.m. Eastern. See you guys then and enjoy your weekend. Take care.